Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. You are attending the Student Welcome event with Mayor Darling in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. We're so pleased that you're able to join us. This is a special event for new students at UNB St. John and at the New Brunswick Community College St. John campus. We have our guests, our panel of guests this evening. I'm just going to introduce their names, and if my guests can just give a wave to people watching. So first of all, His Worship Mayor Don Darling.
Hello, everyone.
And Monika Smith, representing NBCC.
Hi.
And Kai Shen Sung, representing UNB St. John.
Hi, everyone.
Wonderful. So we'll get back to those panelists. First of all, we would like to start with a video. It's called St. John Is, and it just gives you some insight into what our fabulous city looks like and to see some of our citizens. The very special thing about this video is that everyone in the video still lives here in St. John and either studies or works. So you'll recognize these faces, and it's a great opportunity for an introduction to the city, and we'll start with the video now.
Great. Thank you.
It is.
St. John is.
St. John is.
St. John is.
St. John is.
The right place to be, you just found it.
St. John, c'est l'éducation. St. John is education.
Now we just lounging. The right place to be, you just found it. So now we just lounging.
St. John है सुरक्षा. St. John is safety.
The right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be.
St. John هي الرعاية الصحية. St. John is healthcare.
So now we just lounging. The right place to be, you just found it. But now
圣约翰是多样性、多元化。St. John is diversity.
lounging. The right place to be, you just found it. The right place to be, the right place to be.
St. John هي نشاطات للجميع. St. John is activities for all.
But now we just lounging in the right place to be, 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 the right place to be.
St. John is arte y cultura. St. John is arts and culture.
You just found it. But now we just lounging, the right place to be, you just found it.
センジョンは自然へのアクセスが便利です。St. John is access to nature.
The right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be.
St. John este o oportunitate. St. John is an opportunity.
But now we just lounging, the right place to be, you just found it. But now we just lounging, the right place to be, you just found it.
St. John is lifestyle.
Lounging, the right place to be, you just found it. The right place to be.
St. John is friendly people.
The right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be.
St. John dear, traffic jam bien niha. St. John is no traffic jam.
Now we just lounging in the right place to be, the right place to be.
St. John is newcomer support.
St. John
Is home.
You just found it. But now we just lounging in the right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be, the right place.
Oh, you're muted, Jennifer. Here you go.
So I thought I would really not be that person tonight. So sorry. Thank you. So we wanted to show you that video because we know this particular year, your arrival has been very different to our two campuses. And normally you'd be having orientation activities and events that would bring you uptown or to different neighborhoods of the city. And so hopefully by watching that video, you got to see some of the citizens and some of the fabulous sites and places around the city. And this is your welcome event that normally would have been happening earlier in the year. And so we're just pivoting and doing some different things due to COVID this year. We hope that you know that you are so very welcome in our city, and this is part of our service to you to introduce you to our wonderful mayor and to some students that are in senior years at your schools or institutions, and hopefully after this you'll feel the warmth of the citizens in the city. Our program this evening is going to start with Mayor John Darling speaking. Then we will hear from Monica Smith, who has come to us from the Bahamas and is studying at NBCC St. John, and then followed by Kai Shen Song from UNB St. John, coming to us from China. So very interesting, different perspectives to share. For those of you watching at home, please write in the comments. We are interested to know where you're watching from, and we know that there are some students that are still at home studying and part of this class or this group. So we know it's very late night for you, and here in Atlantic Canada, those of you that are joining us, it's just past 7 o'clock at night. And after this evening, this event or this video will be on YouTube. People that are commenting, the comments will only be in the live session. So if people are wanting to comment afterwards, it won't be possible. So if you're wanting to ask questions or share different things, please write in while this video is happening and our panelists will answer. At the end of the three presentations, we will have questions and answers. So that's when we can answer all of your questions. Without further ado, I would like to introduce again His Worship Mayor Darling to give you greetings and welcome.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. This is a great example of how we've had to adjust and pivot this year. As Jennifer said, we would far rather be in a large gathering together and getting to know each other and chatting about where you've arrived from and what your experiences have been like, in the city so far. So certainly want to acknowledge the last 365 days thereabout with COVID and dealing with COVID has been very challenging for everyone. And, I can't imagine what it's been like as a student arriving in New Brunswick and being told, lock yourself into a dorm room or into a building. And that certainly is not what we wanted to have happen for you. But of course, we always have to follow the safety protocols. You are studying in one of the safest places in the world in terms of, dealing with the challenges related to COVID. So, I am confident in that. And even more importantly, we're starting to see real progress and sunny days ahead, if you will, in terms of vaccine rollouts. And I'm certainly hopeful that this summer feels a bit more normal. The video that you played or that we all saw just a few moments ago always makes my heart beat and my, I feel so proud when I see a video like that, because it really does capture who we are as a community. And, from my perspective, St. John is a growing, thriving community that is welcome, that is diverse, that is kind and generous. And what these conversations are about, and I really encourage you as students and people who are new to St. John to tell us what you like, but also give us some suggestions on how we can do better. What else can we do? Because I think through honest dialogue with each other, our teams can improve the systems and the programs, working with NBCC, working with UNB St. John to make sure that we're doing better, certainly as quickly as we can, but into the future. So if you're coming or you're thinking about coming to St. John, New Brunswick, you will be coming to the first incorporated city in the entire country. Now, compared obviously to some places in the world like China, we're not very old, but in Canada, 236 years old is a pretty old place. So we are the oldest and first incorporated city in all of Canada. So we're very proud of that. In fact, this May, we will celebrate our 236th birthday. That's going to have to be a very large cake so we can celebrate, obviously, COVID-safe celebrations for our birthday. So a very rich and proud history in the city. And like many places around the world, we've had terrific times, and we've had very challenging times, like the Great Fire. That as I look out my window at what we call our uptown or downtown area, most of that was lost during the Great Fire. But this is a resilient community that rebuilt, and I've really been so proud of the community over the last year. Whether you've been in St. John for 100 years or you've been in St. John for 5 days, the community has been really resilient. There's been challenges, but I see more people with smiles on their faces than not, and that doesn't mean we don't have a few challenges, but most importantly, I think for any of the student population or anyone thinking about coming here, I think the video did a great job of illustrating some of the quality of life aspects to being in St. John. I'm looking out at the ocean or the Bay of Fundy. If I could see just over the bridge, we could see the river. We have 2,000 acres worth of parks within our city. We have really beautiful historic architecture. We have the oldest daily operating market in the entire country. We have amazing restaurants and arts and culture. And we have very strong campus communities with NBCC and UMB St. John. And, we have a very kind and generous community as well, that I think if you ask St. Johners for help, they will help you. And we need to continue to connect those lines of communication. So as a student or a newcomer to our community, that you have the resources that you need. When I look at moving forward, it is a fact that we need to grow our population, full stop. We need to grow by 2,000 people. That's not a huge number relative to other places in the country or around the globe, but we need to grow by 2,000 people every single year for the next 20 years straight. So 40,000 people. I would like to grow by more than that. And it would make a lot of sense that if one of the places we looked for that growth is you. All of the students that have decided to come all the way around the world or from wherever home is to a new home here in St. John. So first of all, I want to say thank you for choosing St. John. Secondly, I want to acknowledge your courage for leaving home and coming to a place to go to school that is different, cold, small for some people. There's can be language challenges. There can be a range of challenges. But I think, when I think about those 2,000 people a year that we need for every year for the next 20 years, how can we present to you on your graduation on a as they say, a silver platter or in a box with a bow on it? Stay here. Here's a job. Here's a great place to live where you can afford. You have friends here. You have a community that wants you to stay here. There are opportunities. You found the recreation that you like. You found, interest in arts and culture. So that is our job, Jennifer, myself, David, others on our team. Our job is to make sure your experience is great here, to work with you to try to convince you to stay here. And, if you decide you can't stay with us, to make sure you get off to the airport safely, and we'll cry a few tears as you perhaps fly away. But maybe one day you'll tell others what an amazing experience you had here in St. John. So in terms of, the economic, we know that people will decide to live in a place if they have an economic opportunity, a job, if they can afford to live there, if they have friends, if they can fulfill their interests, if they are connected to that community. So that's our job. That's what we're trying to get better at, making sure that we are in tune with what anyone is considering, when they choose a new place to live, or in our case tonight, study. Tremendous opportunities everywhere I look, with partnerships with NBCC, with UMB St. John, growing the port. We have global business leaders here. Most cities our size are very happy to have one global business leader. We have multiple global business leaders. JD Irving Oil, Cook Aquaculture. At the other end of the scale, we have small, fast-moving innovators and entrepreneurs. We have tech. We have the port. We have the largest hospital in New Brunswick with UMB St. John, NBCC, DalMed, everything in one center. We're now working on the integrated health research initiatives with UMB St. John to attract world-class researchers. So we know that you have to, again, to repeat myself one more time, be able to get a job, be able to afford to stay here, feel connected to the community, feel welcomed in the community, and feel like you can have a future here. That's my quest. That's our quest as a city. And we hope that for all of those students and others that might be watching tonight, that you consider us. We think we are an absolutely amazing city. We're a very proud city. And we're here to help you in any way that we can through our teams and people like Jennifer. So I'll stop there. It's a great pleasure to be with you tonight. And I hope we can answer a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Darling. That was wonderful. It is a very exciting place to be, and the students that are in their first of 4 years at UNB St. John, you will be with us for a while, and the students at NBCC St. John are here for 2, possibly 3 years, and our MBA students at UNB St. John are also here for a year and a bit. All of those institutions are offering you work terms and internships. I know your teachers, your professors are working hard doing those matches, and you also have the opportunity to do job searches yourself. And so if you should have questions about those things, we can answer some of that this evening, but I think you'll find part of the smart choice of choosing to study here is that you do have the work term internship, or what we call co-op, cooperative learning. So you have a very good opportunity to do both work and study, as well as please join the community and do things in the city. I know it's attractive to stay on the campus at first, but now we feel you're ready to be out and about, and it is very safe here, especially with all the COVID precautions and things. I just wanted to mention that we see on YouTube in the comments that we have many people watching from all over the world. So I know we have some people's parents, we have some prospective students for both of the universities. So as far away as Nigeria, which very late for you, 20 past 11 at night. So hello to you all, and thank you for watching so late into the night. And in Chile, we see in Chile that it's 5:15 p.m. And there are some people watching from the Bahamas, which leads me into thinking perhaps Monica has some fans at home that are watching. So I'm going to turn it over now to Monica Smith from the Bahamas, representing NBCC, to share her experience and her arrival.
Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you as an international student on my experience at NBCC thus far. Since moving from my home, the Bahamas, to St. John, I have met some really amazing people. The faculty and other staff members of NBCC made me feel so welcomed. At a certain time during the semester before COVID-19 happened, we were all allowed on campus for regular classes. The persons within the school would decorate the halls with flags. The flags represented countries where students were from. This was a really warm feeling. Other students and I took so many pictures that day to send back home to our families. The transition from home to St. John was easy for me because I came from such a small country with a population of a little under 400,000 people. So I felt very comfortable not being in such a big city. The Bahamas has a very warm climate all year round. So there was a bit of an adjustment for me with the weather. We don't have much of a winter. It took me a few months to adjust to the cold climate here, and I had to learn how to dress in layers so that I would not be too hot or too cold. Getting settled in with documents and accommodations also was not much of an issue for me because I used a number of resources that were available to me. I was able to get a job right away from networking with local persons. So as everyone on the call has said so far, it is important to communicate with others and to try to be a part of the community here. From there, I met a number of people that I still communicate with today. It is so great to network and meet new people because they tend to look out for you or offer to help you when they can. An example for me would be my former boss. In my first year at NBCC, I met a really wonderful person, and when I stopped working from there, we maintained contact. So during the pandemic, she knew it was just me here, and she would reach out to me, send me links to financial aids to assist if I needed. So it's never a bad thing to put yourself out there. You will meet great people. As it relates to school, I find NBCC to be an awesome college. In both theoretical and practical courses, I feel both together has made me very well-rounded and has prepared me a bit for the workforce. I'm so happy to be there. I could not have made a better choice for higher education. The staff and office workers are also welcoming and heartwarming. They want to assist you with anything they possibly can, whether it has to do with classes, payments, questions, or general information. They tend to keep up to date on different activities that may take place also locally in the community. The lecturers, although they are there to teach and keep you focused on school, they are also very open to discuss issues that you may have, like study alternatives to aid in your success if you were to have disabilities with learning. From simple or severe disabilities, they also would help you to give you more time to help you maintain your focus and ensure success. Their main concern is that students understand what they are taught and put the information to practice. They do make themselves easily available also by email or phone call. As a newcomer, public transportation was really my only option, and it was great for me. I didn't have any issues. I live on the east side, so I was always in close proximity to the bus. The only times when the bus would let me down would be during severe snow days when the bus wasn't able to run. Usually, I use Google Maps to know when the nearest bus would be. I also use the bus schedule from the St. John Transit website frequently to find out which bus I may need to catch and when. Another wonderful resource I used was the St. John Newcomer Center. This is known to be the go-to place for all newcomers to St. John. This center helps persons to get comfortable and settle down here in St. John. They provide services to alleviate some of the pressure that one might face when arriving here, not knowing what to do next or how to do something. One of the persons I have met through NBCC was Lena. She's an amazing person that will do anything she can to help someone. Usually persons from the center will come to the school once a week to help us students with paperwork or documents. Some of them are just activities and others are annual, such as taxes. So we know we're in tax season right now, and they offer tax clinics. This is when Lena would come to the school to speak to us on the importance of filing taxes. She would bring some volunteers who were able to complete the tax documents on behalf of the students. They would collect our documents and return them when they are no longer needed. Today, some of these services and a lot more are still available for students. However, due to in-person restrictions, they have adjusted to assisting students virtually. There are also fun and homey activities outside of schoolwork. Some events can include fun days, volunteer cleanups, holiday events, and so much more. There are also educational activities available for persons interested in learning new languages, learning skills for the workplace, and enhancing your resume, and so much more. Before COVID-19 came, there were so many activities available to keep persons both active in the school community and the local St. John community. However, as a student, we realized that protocol has to be followed. Overall, I have enjoyed and I'm continuing to enjoy my experience at NBCC, and I will encourage other students to attend this great institution. Thank you.
Wonderful, Monica. Thank you. We have all kinds of questions for you in the chat, but I'm going to keep them till the end. Now I'd like to hear from Kai Sen from UNB St. John, and if you can share your experience.
Hi, hello. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Mayor Darling. And thank you, Monica, for the warm welcome. So hi for everyone watching right now. If you are from the Canton City, located in southern China, that is where I'm from. It is called Guangzhou in Guangdong province. So hello, Lei Hou, hi, ni hao. So there are a few tips and tricks that I would like to share, but I do feel like Monica did just covered a lot. So the transition period for me was a little bit rough. I graduated straight out of high school. Luckily, there wasn't that much of a language barrier, even though English is indeed my third language, I would say. I passed my IELTS test, and then here I come in St. John. But the weather was rough for me. Just like Monica, I am from a warmer climate, a much, much, much warmer climate. Right now at home, my moms are wearing short sleeves and running ACs. But here in St. John, we know we're still having our heaters on. Another thing for me to transition, and I would say it is very difficult for a lot of the new students, is that the North American email etiquettes are different. In a lot of the world right now, emails are an outdated form of communication. But here in North America, in UNB, at NBCC, emails are still the major way of communication and the most formal way. So please consult any resources that you have to familiarize yourself with email etiquettes, whether it is emailing your professor, your international student service officer, anything. Please, follow email etiquettes. And I know we're in tax season right now, but if you just arrived, please don't panic. I am a BBA student, so I can assure you, if you are just coming in right now, you don't need to file a tax return this year. But there are a lot of great resources, luckily. So it brings me to my second point, is that here in St. John, we are a very small community. Especially during COVID-19, a lot of our population left St. John. So as a small community, it is crucial to get yourself involved in this community. There are a number of resources, just like Monica mentioned, St. John Newcomers Association, and the newcomers groups for UNB and NBCC. There are friendly people to turn to, and they're more than willing to help you. But of course, the formality is a little bit different this year. And our next point is Medicare. What an amazing subject, right? So in Canada, there are universal Medicare, so what we call Medicare for all. In New Brunswick, we are very lucky that if you are full-time university student, you are eligible to get New Brunswick Medicare. That is a big shout out to New Brunswick Medicare and the government of New Brunswick, because it's not every province. So you made a great choice of coming here. And please familiarize yourself of how to apply for Medicare, what documents are needed, and explore your healthcare options. Right now, for international students, you do have the emergency insurance underwritten by GuardMe, and then there are the We Speak students offered, if you are at UNB, offered by We Speak student underwritten by Claim Secure for undergraduate students. If you are an MBA student, please consult your MBA student advisor. I am not so sure about that. Please know what to use and when is the case. There is always help. Unlike Monika's experience, my experience for public transit was slightly different. If you are coming from out of country and you did your quarantine or 14-day isolation at UNB St. John campus, you probably already know that we are on a mountain. It is slightly restricted, and especially during the winter, it's a little bit hard to walk down the hill to the outside world of New Brunswick, of St. John City. So I would say getting a driver's license as early as possible gets you a lot of freedom and adds a lot of variety to your life. So if there is anything I would like to tell you, or in other words, I hope someone can smack me in the face in the April of 2019, is get your driver's license now. I know we all have to juggle through schoolwork, meetings and whatever, and of course settling in for paperwork, but going to Service New Brunswick and write your driver's license permit, get the clock starting. And I would say for people coming from a warmer climate, snow outages or snow closures, it's a thing. If there is severe weather, the buses will close, and then when you log into your UNB portal, you will be notified that there will not be classes. Of course, this is not the case this year because we are virtually right now, but please know that is something that could happen. And when we're talking about St. John, the good old port city, we are just like Mayor Darling has explained, the oldest city and the first city in Canada. That is very impressive, and please join us into this historical, beautiful city. And as I said, we are a small community, but the advantage is we are never excluded. We are always involved. There are great opportunities for students to get themselves into. And although everyone here in St. John just went through a 14-day self-isolation, I would say please don't feel isolated. Join our community. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Those were some great points. Just two questions for our student panelists. One is, what did you find the most challenging thing when you first moved to St. John? So that's the first question. I'll let you answer that.
So the greatest challenge for me would be food. I am Cantonese. I am from the other half of the world. The diet is very, very different. Here in North America, it is a little bit carb heavy, a little bit less vegetables, a little bit too less fiber. And of course, is settling in, going to find your grocery stores for your familiar ingredients. That was a great challenge for me.
Okay, perfect. Monica, what about you?
The biggest challenge for me was the accommodation. As we know, NBCC doesn't have housing available, so it's up to the students to look for and secure somewhere to live. I was able to secure housing from Kijiji. It was referenced on NBCC's site. I didn't have issues with this. However, I did not know the legalities around renting an apartment. So the Residential Tenancy Tribunal is essentially information on what the tenant or landlord is allowed to do and gives you information on how to settle issues you may have. So this is important, and it would save you a lot in the future.
Really good point, Monica.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for those that are watching from far destinations and planning to come to St. John in the future, please know that the City of St. John website has a wonderful display of the different neighborhoods, and you can look in and see what the amenities are in each neighborhood across the city, where bus stops are, where grocery stores or markets are, the different types of accommodations and residences, and the schools themselves, the student services offices can assist with information about rental properties or where to look for rental properties or where to post things at the individual schools. So there is a lot of assistance, but very good point, Monica. One of my last questions for you before we get to the public's questions or the other students' questions was, what did you find was the biggest difference between home and here? And I see from the online questions and some of the previously emailed questions, Kai especially, they're noticing that you're from a very big city, and so that they're asking as well, what was the biggest difference between your home city and St. John?
So as for the biggest difference, of course, there is no skyscrapers here in St. John. The tallest building is about, 15 stories? I may have overestimated. I used to live in a neighborhood full of shopping malls. It was 30% of the GDP in the entire city. That's the neighborhood that I live in. Coming into St. John and being restricted at UNB campus is slightly a challenge and the biggest difference. But luckily, what we have here in St. John is all the amenities you need. You don't need skyscrapers to go to your grocery stores and do grocery shopping, right? There are still great resources to have. So for instance, here in Uptown, if you are coming from Asia, there is Freshville and then First Stop Market on Waterloo Street. They offer great selection of home food, I would say. And then luckily for us, Loblaws, which runs Atlantic Superstore here, acquired TNT Supermarket 10 years ago. So they are having a lot of Asian shipments and a lot of Asian choices for us. So it is important to know where to look for when you want to take a bite of your home.
Aha, good one. Monica, what would you say to that?
To the question?
The biggest difference between home and here.
So in Canada, we have something called a credit system. Home, we do not use credit systems. So coming here to see that everything I did would affect my credit took some time to get used to. Also, paperwork is needed for everything. So I do recommend that you get some form of Canadian identification because it would help you in the long run. It is very important. They ask you for it when you least expect it, and you would need it because you would not be able to perform effectively without it. And this also prevents a student from carrying their passports everywhere they may go, which is very dangerous. So that would be my biggest difference.
Very good point. Absolutely. And I'll just mention for international students, Service New Brunswick, which is here in St. John, it's on King's Square. You can get an ID, which is having your photo ID and the start of your social insurance number. And then once you become a Canadian citizen, your number will change a little bit, but this can be used for ID. I know certainly getting a mobile phone is a challenge when you first arrive because you're not allowed to use your student ID, which is most people's picture ID. So I do recommend that. Just looking to further questions. This one is more for Mayor Darling, I think, but others can chime in. I'm staying in St. John this summer because I can't return home due to the pandemic. What are some great summer activities in the city?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, and again, I think if an ability to travel around a little bit, I think one thing I've really challenged myself through the last 365 days through COVID to also recognize what are we grateful for in this new world that we've been living in. And one little example is that I would say in my own family, my wife and I in particular, we've traveled more around New Brunswick or the Maritimes, the Atlantic provinces in the last year than perhaps we had done for many years. So if you have, and there's always ways through friends or family or folks that have adopted you as part of their family here in St. John, to travel not only around the city, but just an hour in any direction is just there's a splendor and there's a beauty and there's a the islands, Graminan, Deer Island, Campobello Island. We spent a lot of time, St. Andrews. These are all places. They're just an hour's drive, maybe a ferry boat ride. I love to go, again, if you can have a drive, and if you can't find one, let me know, and my wife and I will take you for a drive. We love to do the river ferries and travel around and drive on country roads. And one of the things when people come from very large cities or very large populations, I remember one time I had a delegation from Germany visiting, and they asked me where were all of our people, was one question. And secondly, they asked me, why was I driving so slow on the highway? Because of course, on the Autobahn, there's no speed limits, right? So, but in St. John proper, there's beaches and just absolutely amazing parks where you can, you just 5 minutes away, you can feel like you're in the middle of the woods and you're seeing chipmunks and deer and all kinds of really amazing animals, and you're hearing the ocean. I'm a big fan of arts and culture. I hope this summer that we'll have live music perform. In fact, I know we will. The Area 506 Festival, we just learned, is going to have live music throughout the whole summer, where you can get 10 friends together and book your little pod and you can listen to live music. So I think there are many, many things to do, and you can go onto the city's website and follow the social media feeds, and you'll have a lot to do. And again, if you can't find anyone to drive you somewhere fun, you let me know.
Oh my gosh, Mayor Darling, you're going to need a van or a bus.
I'll get one.
I love it. So that leads to those of you that are watching that are in St. John, because I did mention there are some students that are watching from other countries that are just not with us, but part of the class. Those that are in residence at UNB or living in an apartment in St. John, please know that part of this event gives you a welcome bag. So you'll be receiving a welcome bag. If you are at NBCC, we would like you to go to Student Services in the coming days and see Krista and Justin, and they'll give you your welcome bag. If you are at UNB in residence, please go see Jamie. I know you all know where her office is, so you can get your welcome bag there. And our fabulous MBA students who are living all over the city, not always in residence, if you can please go and see Michelle Scott. But I think you might find your packages on your desks on Monday, so you might not even have to go to her office. And they're filled with some amazing things. We had earlier talked about St. John newcomers, so they've given all sorts of amazing, wonderful things. One of the things is a sticker. There's some information of all the wonderful things that they do, as well as Prude, which is Pride of Race, Unity, Dignity, and Education. They're celebrating 40 years this year, and all of these places give so much help and support. Also the YMCA. So students, please look into those wonderful places. Going along with our St. John is video that we started out with is a brochure that you will be getting. So it's a big fold out with many sides, and this gives you all the information about the City of St. John, our website, how to contact us, information about immigration, how to stay and be here in the city with us. And an amazing thing, our new resident guide. This is in your package. This tells you everything you need to know that helps you to settle in St. John or make your life here in the future. And then City of St. John pin, which I see Mayor Darling and I are both wearing tonight, so you can join the Cool Pin Club. And I cannot pass by without thanking the wonderful vendors of the City Market, because this event at one stage was going to be an in-person event, a student day and night at the City Market. So The market vendors have thrown in some things. So in your bag, you may receive something from Linda Cook, who is in the center aisle with some beautiful artwork. And she is actually putting on a contest this evening to win this amazing picture of the city market, which she has done the painting, and it's in a beautiful frame. So people that are in St. John watching this, the way to win this is in the comments. If you can say what was the place you discovered in St. John or on one of the campuses that was amazing to you. You heard from the mayor about some wonderful places, but for you, what was your discovery so far? The other places in the market are Cindy from Butcher's Daughter has put in some interesting things into your bag. So some jewelry, there's some earrings or bracelets. If you are perhaps not interested in wearing the earrings, or maybe you don't, it's not your thing, you could give it to a lady in your life. One of the places too, Nania Business, which is a very cool place. They're giving you a brochure where you can see all kinds of cool food things. And the Wild Carrot is giving you a wonderful coupon. This is for a morning toast and pop, or depending where you're from, soda. So the bag is filled with things. I won't go over everything, but just know that you have this coming to you. If we saw you in person, the mayor would be presenting these to you. So just wanted to make sure. So please, in the comments, what's the most amazing place you've discovered or thing that you've discovered? And we're just going to move on with the questions. We have just another 10 minutes for questions. Now, this one, I would say either the mayor or I would like to contribute to answering this one. This is the question. I've applied for some jobs and haven't heard back or gotten an interview. Am I doing something wrong? So I am going to ask the mayor, but I will just put in two things that I could mention, a few things. When you distribute your resumes or your CVs, two of the most important things are a cover letter, which I always say to people, the cover letter is what you would say yourself if you were dropping the resume in person. So your resume, your CV shows your education, the previous jobs you've had, your skills and experience, but the cover letter says about your personality and why you feel you're a fit for the job, and whatever you would say, handing that resume to the person doing the hiring is what should be in the cover letter, and it should never be longer than one page if you can really get it in on one page. The other thing that I learned early on in applying for jobs is it's very important to keep track of all of the places where you have submitted your resume or CV and then follow up with those people. So, and not right away, not that afternoon or the next morning, but give it a few days and then follow up. Or what some people will do is wait till the closing day of the deadline for the job application. And this is a wonderful way to make sure that they've received it, and just to sort of remind them, and maybe it'll bring your resume to the top of the stack. And the last thing is about references. Unless they're asking you to provide them, it's best to say references available upon request, because then if they're contacting you for your references, you know that they're considering you, or they're physically looking at your resume, which is great. And on that, if you are putting someone's name down, make sure that you ask that person to be your reference and make sure that they're aware and they're prepared for the call. So Mayor Darling, do you have things you would like to add?
Yeah, I think Jennifer, you did an excellent job. That's all very, very good advice. I would say a couple of things. First of all, I think sometimes, if you're new to the community in particular, you can be thinking, have I done something wrong? How does this work? I was very interested to hear about how email is obsolete communication form, but yet here in St. John, so I need to know what is being used. We'll come back to that in a second, but no, I think that advice you gave, Jennifer, was excellent. I know I've met, students or newcomers that are applying for jobs that have said to me, at home, it's very rude to follow up and make phone calls to say, hey, did you get my resume? But that is, quite customary here in St. John. And then, I think as well, Jennifer and the rest of our team are working on, and I think it's something that's very, very important, is having our local employers understanding the benefits of, not that they don't, but understanding the benefits of a diverse workforce, of diverse perspectives, and having either students or newcomers to our community being given every opportunity that someone else might have if they've been, again, in St. John for many, many years. So I think that's something that we are, working on as well. But there have been student job fairs. There have been job fairs for everyone, students and others included. And we know there's going to be a massive swing happening here. As I spoke earlier, the last comment about those 2,000 people we need per year, it's because we're going to have a lot of people retire in the next number of years, because in New Brunswick, our population is older. So we need about 120,000 to 150,000 people to come to New Brunswick in the next 15 to 20 years, just to cover those that have been that are going to be retiring. So I all that to say, I think it means employers are going to have to change the way they look at resumes, and they decide, how are they going to be in contact with applicants. So, but Jennifer gave better advice than I did.
Well, I did have a job in human resources, so it would be terrible if I didn't have an answer.
You got it.
So the other thing too is working remotely, and I know especially Monica, and you're taking cybersecurity right now. So it may be that you have a job interview and all of the things online. I know a person who just had their whole job hiring process through the internet, and they did end up going for coffee with their new boss, but otherwise they don't see their team. They're not in an office. They're working from home. And so all of the paperwork and everything was done through things in the mail and online. So that's a whole new world that your group of students and colleagues will be dealing with that's a bit different at this time.
Yeah.
I have another question that's come in. So this one is, COVID has made it challenging to get off campus. How can I meet people and make new friends in St. John? This is open to any of you. What would you say?
Maybe I'll just jump in, and then maybe our other panelists can. I think we need to recognize that, Jennifer. It's easy for it has been challenging. So obviously, and we're heading in the right direction. I think a lot of people are hoping that our bubbles can get bigger again. That events, so we know we can have inside events up to 50 people with the proper protocols in place. So how do we get proactive, and how do we work with the NBCC, UNB St. John, and some of our teams to do some events and plan some events? Because I think it has been, if you came in the fall, it has not been a typical time where you could travel all over the city and have all kinds of fun and so on. So I think we need to hear people's not concern is the wrong, but we have to have folks feel comfortable, courageous to share. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling like I need some help. I'd like to have more events. So I certainly would love to see us partnering with NBCC and UNB St. John and getting some organizing committees together and creating a few more of those opportunities. I think that would be really wonderful.
Absolutely. And I would encourage people to, when you do get your welcome packages, please also look at the agencies that are stakeholders that work with us. So St. John Newcomers, Prude, the YMCA. We have a new organization in the city, Envision. Please look up their websites and their Facebook pages, because they are all doing many things, and they want to include students and their online virtual events. I know the mayor's schedule is very full attending these types of virtual meetings, and mine is getting so as well, because I've just started accepting all invitations. And so sometimes you just have to get in that zone of doing that. Kai or Monica, would you like to add anything about that, how students can get more involved during the COVID times?
If I may jump in, so pre-pandemic time, here at UNB St. John, it is very different from what we have in high school, because in high school we know each other, but in the university, you go to classes and you go, right? So But I think COVID-19 has presented a unique opportunity for us to connect virtually. So we, as I said, even we are in isolation, there are still ways to reach out virtually. So you can stay socially active, never feel alone, and physically distanced. So I think COVID-19, we're all using Teams right now. I think professors and university staffs are created this unique opportunities for us to reach out for each other, for your classmates, for your project group mates. So I'm going to say it is a great opportunity to not feel alone.
Absolutely, Kai. Very good point. Just a little mention for those watching that are in St. John. Please put in the comments the place or the thing that you discovered so that you can win your painting from Linda Cook. And then Monica, back to you. What do you think that people could do during the COVID times to be more included or make new friends?
I think that people can come out of their bubble and try to connect to people online. So for me, since the pandemic, well, before the pandemic, I used to be a person that went out a few times, on school breaks, and I would meet people that way. But since the pandemic, I haven't really met much people. However, the people I have met were online, and they were really classmates. So when we had a break and the restrictions were a bit less, we would meet up at a brunch or something along the lines. So I think that would be a first step, to reach out to the people who are actually right around you.
Yes, very much so. And I know it's a bit easier for the students in residence at UNB St. John as opposed to your colleagues where you're all in different houses or homestays or just different things. What I would contribute to that is that, this summer, I know you both were probably here. Were you here this summer, I'm assuming? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And the students that just came in September and January that are listening, I know you weren't here, so I want to share with you that the city put on a thing called Open Streets this past summer. And the whole idea of Open Streets was to show the citizens and at the time people that were living here that it was safe to be outside and it was safe to be on the street wearing a mask. We had COVID stations. We put things out on the street. So the streets were blocked off to cars, but pedestrians were able to walk all over the street, and shops put their wares out on the sidewalk, and we had tables and chairs and sort of chill zones and areas. And I know both of you are from tropical places where that sort of thing happens all the time. But in St. John, it was kind of a new thing that we took everything outside and extended the shops and did things. And there were fun things. People that were here, the mayor can attest to this. There were large Mayor Darling be 6 feet apart with stands and all sorts of fun things to remind people about the COVID rules. And so that was one thing that we did on Saturdays. And one of the parts of that was we as a team welcomed students to be our volunteers and newcomers, and what I also like to call old comers, people that have been here for a while. And that's, I think, the biggest thing is volunteering, taking the opportunity when different organizations call for board members to try to get on a board, because it opens your circle. It opens your circle from just the campus and the students, and then you're meeting people in the business community, you're meeting the citizens, and it's sort of a one-by-one thing when someone meets you and hears where you're from and learns about you and your family and your friends, and then it just grows and grows and grows. And this is how, for many people, they end up finding a job or doing certain things. And I know some people will say to me, how do you know so many people? And my answer is always volunteering or serving on a board. And it also helps me to learn about those organizations that I served on their board. So I definitely recommend that. And I think that we're almost to time. It's 8 o'clock here in St. John, New Brunswick. So I wonder if we can have from each of you one final parting comment or tip or something that you might like to mention to the new students who are listening to this, and even the prospective students who are considering coming next year. Perhaps, Mayor, we could start with you.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you very much for organizing. Thank you to the panelists. It was fascinating. I made a whole page of my homework notes here. Really, I'm very pleased to hear how much you enjoy it here. But I also heard you give us some really good feedback on some other areas. I have a very creative mind, so I'm already thinking about ambassadors and adopting students and going for drives and all kinds of fun things. Because again, what I know is if you ask St. Johners for help, they'll help. And no one should feel isolated or lonely. The other thing I wanted to mention, we mentioned about Medicare. I was part of a group that lobbied the provincial government to provide Medicare to students because we knew it was an important part for students internationally to come to New Brunswick. But also want to just let everybody know, very simple, if you're a student in St. John or anyone that needs help, 211. It's a very simple resource that if you need help for anything, you can call 211, and they have trained experts that can help connect you to resources that you need. And then lastly, something that I've said many times to newcomers or students, or whether you can vote or not, or whether you've been in St. John for 5 minutes or for 100 years, for the remaining time I'm your mayor, and council's here to support you, and people like Jennifer here and her team and colleagues are here to support you. So never hesitate. This is your city. We are so happy and so grateful that you're here in St. John. We want you to stay, even though we know it's a little bit cold. We want you to stay, and we're so pleased that you're here. And thank you for inviting me tonight, Jennifer. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Mayor Darling. We're so glad you were here with us tonight. Monica, would you like to say something to everyone?
I would just like to say again that it is very important to be a part of the local St. John community. It allows you to get to know a lot of nice people and to help you to learn about your environment.
Excellent. Kai?
Just like Monica, I would say, please, whether or not if you are here already, please join us, get involved in this community. Rules are stringent. COVID-19 is scary, but people are warm. And thank you for having me here tonight.
Oh, well, thank you all. I'm so thrilled. It was actually quite easy to find people that wanted to talk about their experience. And I'm so glad that you both were so quick to volunteer and so generous with your time. And Mayor Darling as well, generous with your time. I think that people that are watching will be able to see this back again and pick up on little things if they missed them. And to all those viewers out there that are watching from all over the world, you can see what a welcoming place St. John, New Brunswick is and what fantastic people are here. And the fact that we have these amazing schools amongst us, UNB St. John, NBCC St. John. We also have Dal Med Ed. And so, it's just a hub of excitement and amazing education that's recognized all over the world, as well as work terms and internships and co-ops to get your foot in the door of the working world. And as we heard here today as well, volunteer work and opportunities within the community. Before we go, I just wanted to mention that the winner of Linda Cook's painting is Ordain Wright, who's from Jamaica. So Monica, the Caribbean is very represented this evening, and he attends NBCC as well. So you may see each other on the campus. So again, thank you so much. The students watching in St. John, don't forget to pick up your welcome bags, student services at NBCC, MBA students at your classroom, and UNB St. John resident students at Jamie's office. So thank you so, so much, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.